welcome to the Armory. I'm Archaic, and with me is my second student, Glitched. So glitched. Please tell
What up?
all the viewers how it feels to be a part of this elite group of Terrans.
Hey guys, it feels pretty awesome to be honest. I was looking at Thomas's previous experiences, and it's pretty cool to be taught by a guy who's been there and who knows what it's like to be in that high bracket of play
Oh,
and
thank you.
understand where it's coming from. So it's pretty awesome.
Well, it's awesome to have you. Obviously, I can't do this without my students, so it's very exciting. Very exciting. You could say you are my first expansion,
Sweet.
my
Number
natural.
two. It's awesome.
John's my main, you're my natural. Sometimes the natural is more important than the main. Sometimes the main is more important than the natural. Who knows what happens? Who knows? Who
Yep.
knows? We'll see what happens once I get a third. That's gonna get it's gonna
Uh,
get crazy. We're gonna have to have like double armories to like upgrade my units because we're gonna have too much going on.
It all depends if that Hellbat drop happens, right?
Oh man, I need to build lots of bunkers to protect my 3 bases.
Yeah.
So as with every status report, which is the first part of the armory, I asked the student how their week went. So how did the ladder games go this week? And what do you think you did correctly? And what do you think you need to work on for next week?
Okay. So the last week I played quite a few games. I got a decent chunk of games in. I'm sitting 16 wins to 8 losses currently. Couple things that I did properly is my builds were very accurate to the enemies that I was facing, as well
Mm,
as I'm getting better at tailoring my build compositions to my enemies' build compositions through the first 8 to 10 minutes.
all right.
Um, as well as I'm doing a lot better at some early aggression, which is helping a lot. So I'm doing some really early Hellbat drops, which is just rocking TVT right now. That isn't until the patch happens. If you want to see a replay of some of that later, I will show you because it's hilarious. Uh, um, Against Zerg and Protoss, I'm doing more macro focus builds with a two base all in pretty much. That's working quite well for me. I'm in silver, so it works out. But yeah, and behind both sets of that's the Hellbat drops and the macro builds. I'm also dropping a third and getting that running. So
Yeah, yeah.
if it does happen to go into a three base rate or into a three base play after that, I can just keep expanding off of it and just go. So it's working out really well. And upgrades in silver, if you get your, if I can give advice to any of the younger players out there, if you get your SUVs built, if you cut down your supply caps, like lately my supply caps have been underneath a minute for each game. If you get those two covered and then you get your at least two twos and you attack around 10 minutes, you're going to win a good amount of your games in bronze and silver. I can pretty much guarantee that. It's awesome. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah. I find it really important for us, like as players, to about like at least weekly take a step back and kind of engage in a little self-analysis.
Mm.
The last thing I want to do is spoon feed people while they climb the ladder because then it's like I have these parasites that are like harassing me all the time on BattleNet. And they're like, "What do I
Totally.
do with this? What do I do with this? What do I do?" I'm like, "You just need to use your brain.
Yep.
That's why you have one. So think. Yes, so it's good. It's really good to think about what you're doing well and what you need to work on." So
Always
I
the big thing.
already showed the viewers your stats. So these are the stats I've gathered from your replays. So you
Mhm.
already mentioned your win-loss ratio. So this doesn't account for all those things.
Yeah.
But basically we see two opposing storylines. So what I did is I took those 10 replays and I took the average time supply blocked, your
Mhm.
average unspent resources, average game length, threw them all together, divided by 10, and we got our averages. So I'll just read them out here.
Yeah.
And because I forgot to provide this for you to see. So just so you know what your averages are, I'll just read them, the matchups. So your TVT was 3-1. So that's 75%.
Okay.
Quite impressive. TVP 50%, 2-2. And TVZ 50%, 1-1. So that's the 10 games that I had to look at this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously you've been playing a lot, so you have more games, which is glorious, and I'll see those next week. And then your average time supply blocked was 2 minutes and 23 seconds. And your average unspent resources 784. And your game length was 17 minutes, which is actually quite long, which is kind of cool. So we see these two opposing storylines. The first being your incredibly low average unspent resources. If I were just to ask you, what do you think the key is to spending your money? How do you keep it so low?
I have a route of how I check things. The first thing I check is, do I have SUVs building? Second thing is, do I have enough supply depots? And the third thing is my army production keeping up to scuff, right?
Oh, glorious.
And if those three are covered, and then it's like, okay, how are my upgrades doing? Do I have the upgrades that I need for my composition? If not, it's, do I have what I need to get to the next level? So like if I need to add on an armory for the 2-2 and the 3-3, and that kind of thing. And then above that, like if I'm sitting on 2 base and I'm sitting with 400 minerals, it's like, all right, let's consider dropping a third, right? You usually drop a third at around 10 with that first push anyway. But as well, it's like, okay, I'm racking up a lot of minerals. I'm getting to 300. I don't quite need a third base yet because we're still 5-6 minutes in. Okay, I can afford to drop another barracks if I'm going bio build, or I can afford to drop on another factory if I'm going more of a mech based build, right?
Yeah. So I just want to drill this in for all the viewers out there. So the second longest game you played, it was 23 minutes long. Your average, that game, the average unspent minerals was 696.
Wow.
So over 23 minutes, you somehow still managed to average less than 700 minerals. So when we talk about perfect play as a Terran, we're looking at the $400 price point. Like, if you can keep your money below 400, then it's perfect, right? Because the most expensive thing you need to buy is a command center.
Totally.
So you somehow at the silver level are like 380 minerals away from perfection. Okay, whoa, this is really strange, really amazing actually. So this is something we're gonna build on. This is like the foundation we're gonna build on. So this is awesome, and you should get excited about that, because that is an amazing achievement that maybe you don't even realize that you're just like killing it. It's amazing. So I said there was two opposing storylines. Yes. That's like deserving a fist pump, or if you pat yourself on the back or something, whatever you do, like buy yourself a chocolate. Yes, do that thing, because you have impressed your coach.
There's a chocolate bar in my near future.
So the two storylines, right? So the other hand, you average 2 minutes and 23 seconds supply blocked per game. If I compare that to your average game length, I can say you spend approximately 15% of the game not being able to build units.
Anything, yeah. That's the reason why I have really tried to isolate that down in the last week, is for that reason. Exactly. Like, if you can watch a replay of your game and see, all right, I gotta, and see, like, the only reason why I didn't win this game was because I could not build a round of units at this exact moment. If you can see that, then you know something's wrong and you gotta fix it, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's significant. So like you said at the very start when I asked you, what do you think you're doing well? And you immediately said you're focusing on build like supply depots, and I was like, boom,
Yep.
yes, that's what we want. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Um,
Foundations of builds, man. Make sure you can build stuff. And
yeah, yeah,
if you want to be able to build stuff, you need supply depots and you need SUVs, right?
yes, yes. SCVs, it's like a little reinvestment into your economy,
Yep.
and yeah, yeah. If you can't build army, you can't win games, right? So yeah.
Exactly.
So as long as this is something you identify and you focus on for this week, it's going to be golden, right?
Yep.
And then just as a final note, from watching your replays, I was really impressed with how consistent you are with your game plans. So consistency breeds efficiency, and this is
Yep.
what I think. This is what I think has allowed you to achieve something like as impressive as average unspent resources. Because as you work on things like your supply block, remember the more repetition, the better.
Yep.
So basic practice is going to really help you here. As long as so just look for cycles. Like you already mentioned, you have this cycle that you go through. Supply depots, SCVs, spend your money. You said production, very similar things. So in the next couple weeks, just remember that doing something over and over again is how we develop these skills. So just
Totally.
simply playing and focusing on that, it's going to be so good. So
Yeah.
good.
I have a routine when I pick up a new build and I decide to implement it. I play against AIs and I start at the bottom and I work up. And I don't move up a level until I consistently beat that level of AI at a specific time
Mm-hmm.
or at a specific point in the game, right?
Yeah, and that's something really good that you've already implemented.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna encourage you to continue doing that.
Yeah.
And as Terrans, I think things like builds are quite important. So it's really good that we take that time. Even though ladder is practice, take that time away from the ladder in a less stressful environment to just really iron down those things.
Yeah. If you mess up in an AI game, it doesn't mean anything. Really. Right? Just quit it and start all over again.
Yes.
Like it's not a big deal.
Yes.
For all of the guys who are just starting out, seriously, go into AI, and for each build, there's usually benchmarks set up for like 10 minutes and at certain supply numbers, and try to hit those. And once you can get to the point where you can hit them against a harder AI where there's where they're sending attacks to you and they're messing with your head a little bit. Once you can do it with a harder AI, and even better, a very hard AI, if you can do it there, then chances are you're going to do fairly well with it on the ladder, I found, in bronze and silver. So go for it.
That's great advice. Very great advice. So before we jump into a replay, do you have any like questions or comments before we go ahead and move on to part 2?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. Well, if you think of something, you can always ask it in the replay analysis. So thanks everybody for watching. This has been our first status report with Glitched. You will see a lot more coming from him. Just as an update, I announce everything related to the show on Twitter. That is Archaic Coaching, just like my YouTube. And obviously, if you subscribe to the channel, it'll automatically show up on your updates. So that's pretty awesome. Stay tuned for the second part where I take Glitched through one of his replays.